Before we begin, drop a comment below with your country and what time it is right now where you're watching. Whether it's sunrise in Nairobi, midnight in New York, afternoon in Canada, or evening in France. I want to know. Don't just sit back. Tell me where in the world you are. Now, let's dive into the story. That single detail changed everything. Because in the 3 months I'd been living in my son's house, helping with the twins after their premature birth, that door had never been locked. Not once. It stood at the end of the upstairs hallway like any other door. Unremarkable, painted white, slightly scuffed at the bottom where someone had kicked it open carrying laundry. But tonight, at 2:47 a.m., when 5-year-old Lily woke screaming from a nightmare about monsters in the walls, and I tried to get fresh sheets from the basement storage, my hand met resistance. The knob turned, but the door wouldn't budge, locked from the inside. I stood there in my nightgown, Lily's hot tears soaking into my shoulder, and felt something cold crawl up my spine. Inside, locked from the inside, which meant someone was down there, in a house where everyone should be sleeping. "Grandma, make the monsters go away," Lily whimpered, her small fingers clutching my gray hair. I kissed her forehead, tasting salt and fear. "There are no monsters, sweet girl, just bad dreams." But as I said it, I heard something, faint, muffled, coming from behind that locked door, a sound that didn't belong in a sleeping house, a rhythmic thumping, like something heavy being dragged across concrete. Then silence, then a voice, low, urgent, angry, too distorted to identify, but unmistakably human. My son Garrett's voice. I backed away from the door, Lily still trembling in my arms, my heart hammered against my ribs. Rational explanations flooded my mind. He couldn't sleep. He was working on a project. He was moving storage boxes. All perfectly normal reasons for a 32-year-old man to be in his basement at 3 a.m. Except none of those reasons explained why the door was locked from the inside, or why his voice carried that sharp edge of desperation, or why, as I stood there trying to calm my racing thoughts, I heard another sound, softer, more terrifying, a child crying, not Lily in my arms, not her twin brother Elijah asleep in his room, a different child, younger, maybe. The cry cut off abruptly, replaced by that same dragging sound. "Grandma, I'm scared," Lily whispered. "I know, baby, I know." I carried her back to her room, my mind fracturing into 1,000 terrible possibilities, changed her sheets with shaking hands, sang her back to sleep with a voice that didn't sound like mine. And the entire time, that locked door burned in my thoughts like a brand. I'm 63 years old. I've lived through a husband's betrayal, raised 3 sons alone, survived breast cancer, and buried my middle child after a car accident took him at 19. I know the difference between anxiety and intuition, between paranoia and genuine danger. This was danger. I waited until Lily's breathing deepened into sleep, checked on Elijah, still peaceful, his stuffed elephant tucked under his chin. Then I walked back to that hallway. The basement door stood exactly as I'd left it, closed, locked, silent now. I pressed my ear against the wood. Nothing. Just the hum of the refrigerator 2 floors below. The distant rumble of a truck passing on the main road. My own pulse thundering in my ears. I should go back to bed. Mind my own business. Trust my son. He's a pediatric nurse, for God's sake. He saves children for a living. He and his wife, Eleanor, have built a beautiful life here in this renovated farmhouse outside Salem, Oregon. They're good parents, devoted, maybe a little stressed since the twins came early, but who wouldn't be? My hand reached for my phone in my robe pocket. I opened the camera app, zoomed in on the door's bottom edge, where light should leak through if someone was down there. Darkness, complete darkness. Then I noticed something I'd missed before, something that made my blood freeze. Fresh scratches on the doorframe, 4 parallel grooves in the white paint, about 3 feet from the floor, the height of a child's desperate hands. The wood beneath showed raw and pale, meaning these marks were recent, very recent. I took a photo. My hands shook so badly the first shot was blurred. The second captured it clearly. 4 scratches, small fingers. A child had clawed at this door trying to get out, or trying to get in, away from something worse. Behind me, a floorboard creaked. I spun around, my heart leaping into my throat. Eleanor stood at the end of the hallway, her silhouette backlit by the nightlight from the bathroom. She wore yoga pants and an oversized sweater. Her blonde hair fell loose around her shoulders. She looked exhausted, normal, like any new mother surviving on 3 hours of sleep. "Vivienne," she said, my name sounding strange in her mouth. She rarely called me by name. Usually, it was just Mom, or nothing at all. "You're up late. Lily had a nightmare. I was getting fresh sheets." The lie came automatically, smoothly. Eleanor's eyes flickered to the basement door, then back to me. Something passed across her face, too quickly to identify. "The sheets are in the upstairs linen closet now. I reorganized last week." "Oh, I didn't realize." We stood there in the darkness, 2 women who'd shared the same house for 3 months, but never truly knew each other. I'd always sensed a wall between us, a careful politeness that never warmed into genuine affection. Now that wall felt different, calculated, hiding something. "Go back to bed, Vivienne. You look exhausted." Eleanor's voice was gentle, but her eyes were hard. "You do so much for us. The twins would be lost without you. We'd be lost without you." The words should have been comforting. Instead, they sounded like a warning. She walked past me, close enough that I could smell her shampoo, something floral and expensive, and placed her hand on the basement door handle. Tested it. Locked. She made a small sound of satisfaction. "Garrett's doing inventory down there. For his medical supply company. Very tedious stuff. He didn't want to be disturbed." She looked at me directly. "He works so hard, you know, providing for us. We should let him focus." "Of course," I whispered. Eleanor smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Good night, Vivienne." She glided back down the hallway toward the master bedroom, moving with the eerie silence of someone who'd learned to walk without making sound. The door closed with a soft click. I stood alone in the hallway, my phone still in my hand, the photo of those scratches burning in my pocket, like evidence of a crime I didn't yet understand. I should have gone to bed, should have convinced myself I was imagining things, should have chalked it up to exhaustion and the paranoia that comes with age. But I'm a mother and a grandmother, and some instincts don't die. I walked back to the guest room where I'd been staying, closed the door, sat on the edge of the bed in the darkness, and I made a decision that would change everything. Tomorrow, I would find out what was behind that locked door, whatever it took, whatever I discovered, because those scratches weren't made by my imagination. That crying child wasn't a dream, and my son's voice in the middle of the night, sharp with desperation, wasn't innocent. Something was very wrong in this house, and those 2 beautiful babies sleeping down the hall, my grandchildren, my blood, my responsibility, were living in the center of it. I didn't sleep the rest of that night, just sat in the darkness, listening to the old farmhouse settle and creak around me, wondering what horrors waited in the basement, wondering if I was brave enough to face them, wondering if I'd still love my son when I finally learned the truth. Morning came with the smell of pancakes and the sound of Lily's laughter. I walked downstairs at 7:30, my eyes gritty from lack of sleep, and found a scene of perfect domestic tranquility. Garrett stood at the stove, flipping pancakes, his broad shoulders relaxed under a flannel shirt. Eleanor sat at the kitchen table, with both twins on her lap, reading them a picture book about rabbits. Sunlight poured through the farmhouse windows, making everything look golden and safe. For a moment, I wondered if I'd dreamed the entire night, if grief and loneliness were finally catching up to me, turning me paranoid. After all, what did I really know about basement inventories? Maybe medical supplies did require middle-of-the-night organization. Maybe those scratches on the doorframe had been there for weeks, and I just never noticed. Maybe. Mom! Garrett turned, his face breaking into that familiar smile that had charmed nurses and patients alike since he started working at Sacred Heart Hospital. You're just in time. I made your favorite, blueberry pancakes with that maple syrup you like. He looked normal, happy, like a man who'd slept soundly through the night instead of dragging something heavy across a basement floor at 3 a.m. Thank you, sweetheart, I said, accepting a plate and sitting down across from Eleanor. She didn't look up from the book, just kept reading to the twins in her soft, melodic voice. But I noticed her hand, the one stroking Elijah's dark curls, was trembling slightly. How'd you sleep? Garrett asked, pouring coffee. Fine, I lied. Good. You've been working so hard with the twins. We really appreciate you. He set the coffee in front of me. Our eyes met. For just a second, I saw something flicker behind his warm brown eyes, something that might have been guilt, or warning, or nothing at all. Eleanor closed the book with a snap. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about something, Vivian. She finally looked at me, her blue eyes clear and innocent. Garrett and I have been thinking. You've been here 3 months now, and we're so grateful, but we're getting into a rhythm with the twins. We don't want to take advantage of your generosity any longer. My coffee cup froze, halfway to my lips. What are you saying? Just that maybe it's time you went back to your own life in Portland. Your garden, your friends, your book club. Eleanor's voice was honey-sweet. We'll visit often, of course, and you can come back any time. But we need to learn to manage as a family, you know? They were asking me to leave. After 3 months of waking up at night with the twins, changing diapers, cooking meals, cleaning, organizing, giving up my entire life to help them adjust to parenthood, they were dismissing me. I see, I said carefully. Garrett jumped in, his voice too eager. It's not that we don't love having you here, Mom. You know that. But Eleanor's right. We need to stand on our own 2 feet. Be independent. Of course. I set down my coffee cup with exaggerated care. When were you thinking? Maybe this weekend, Eleanor suggested. That gives you a few days to pack. 4 days. They were giving me 4 days. I looked at the twins, Lily playing with her food, Elijah watching me with those serious dark eyes that saw too much for a 5-year-old. Something inside me cracked. These babies had become my entire world. After losing their Uncle Thomas 3 years ago, they'd filled a hole in my heart I thought would never heal, and someone was trying to separate me from them. All right, I heard myself say. This weekend, then. Eleanor's shoulders relaxed. Wonderful. We'll make it special. A little going-away dinner Friday night. The rest of breakfast passed in forced cheerfulness. Garrett told stories from the hospital. Eleanor discussed her plan to finally finish unpacking the basement storage. Casual mention, as if that room held nothing but Christmas decorations and old furniture. The twins made a mess, with syrup. Everything normal, everything fine, except I noticed things I'd been too busy to see before. The way Eleanor's eyes constantly flickered toward the basement door visible through the kitchen archway. The way Garrett's laugh sounded just a fraction too loud, like he was trying to fill silence with noise. The way neither of them would hold eye contact with me for more than a second or two. And something else. Something that made my skin crawl. There were new locks on the twins' bedroom doors, installed on the outside. I'd walked past those rooms 1,000 times and never noticed, but now I saw them clearly. Shiny brass deadbolts, the kind you could lock from the hallway, trapping whoever was inside. "Why are there locks on the kids' rooms?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Garrett didn't miss a beat. "Safety precaution. Lily's been sleepwalking. We don't want her wandering around the house at night." Sleepwalking. I looked at Lily, who was currently trying to balance a piece of pancake on Elijah's head. "She's never sleepwalked before. It started last week," Eleanor said smoothly. "Scared us to death. Found her at the top of the stairs at midnight." Lily looked up at her mother with confusion. "Mama, I wasn't." "Finish your breakfast, sweetheart," Eleanor interrupted, her voice sharp. Lily's mouth snapped shut. I filed that away. Another lie. Another crack in the perfect facade. After breakfast, I volunteered to take the twins to the playground. "Gave Garrett and Eleanor space," I said. Really, I needed to think. Needed to get the children somewhere I could watch them carefully. See if they knew anything about what happened in this house when I wasn't looking. The October morning was crisp and beautiful. Fallen leaves covered the playground in gold and red. The twins ran to the swings, their laughter echoing across the empty park. Most kids were in school. We had the place to ourselves. I pushed Lily on the swing, watching Elijah climb the jungle gym with terrifying fearlessness. Normal kids, happy kids. Whatever was happening in that house, it hadn't broken them. Yet. "Grandma," Lily said suddenly, her voice dropping to a whisper, "are you leaving because of the crying?" My hands froze, mid-push. "What crying, honey?" "The crying in the walls, at night." Lily turned to look at me, her small face serious. "Elijah and me hear it sometimes. A girl crying. Mama says it's just the house settling. But houses don't cry, do they?" Cold washed over me. "No, baby. Houses don't cry." "That's what I thought." Lily turned back around. "Push me higher, Grandma." I pushed her higher, my mind erasing. A girl crying in the walls. Not my imagination, not my paranoia. The children heard it too. "Lily, sweetheart, where does the crying come from?" "The basement, under our rooms." She said it so matter-of-factly, like she was describing the color of the sky. "Sometimes I hear footsteps too, and talking. But Mama says I'm imagining things." "What kind of talking?" Lily's swing slowed. She dragged her feet in the dirt, coming to a stop, turned to face me with an expression too old for her years. "Scared talking, like when someone's hurt." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from Garrett. "Where are you? Need you to watch the twins for a few hours. Eleanor's not feeling well. Come home soon." I stared at that message. The playground was 15 minutes from the house. They knew exactly where I was, because I'd told them. So why text instead of call? Why the urgency? Unless they needed me out of the house for something. Unless Eleanor wasn't sick at all. "Come on, munchkins," I called to the twins. "Time to go home." "Already?" Elijah complained, hanging upside down from a bar. "Already." We drove back in my old Honda, the twins singing songs in the back seat, and I made another decision. I wasn't leaving this house on Friday. Not until I understood what was happening. Not until I knew those babies were safe. When we pulled into the driveway, I noticed something I'd missed that morning. A small silver car was parked at the far end of the property, partially hidden by trees. Not Garrett's truck, not Eleanor's SUV. Someone else was here. I got the twins inside and settled them with coloring books in the living room. The house was too quiet. No sounds from upstairs. No Garrett. No Eleanor. Nothing. Then I saw it. The basement door, wide open. My breath caught. That door had been locked tight less than 6 hours ago. Now it stood open like an invitation. Or a trap. "Stay here," I whispered to the twins. "Don't move. Grandma needs to check something." I walked toward that door, my heart hammering. Each step felt like walking toward the edge of a cliff. I reached the doorway, looked down. Wooden stairs descended into darkness. Someone had turned off the light, but at the bottom, I could make out a faint glow, like a flashlight or a phone screen. "Hello?" My voice sounded small and frightened. No answer. I took the first step down. The old wood creaked under my weight. Second step, third. The air grew colder, damper. I could smell something chemical. Bleach, maybe, and something else underneath it. Something rotten. Garrett? Eleanor? Still nothing. I was halfway down when I heard it. A voice. Female. Young. Pleading. "Please. Please. I just want to go home. I won't tell anyone. Please." I froze. That wasn't Eleanor's voice. This girl sounded like a teenager. Desperate. Terrified. And my son was down there with her. I descended the rest of the stairs in silence, my hand clutching the railing for support. At the bottom, I saw the finished basement Garrett had bragged about when they bought this house. Concrete walls, exposed beams, storage boxes stacked against one wall, and a door, a heavy metal door I'd never seen before, installed in what I thought was just a concrete wall. It was slightly ajar. Light spilled through the crack. Voices leaked out. Garrett's voice, tired and patient. "No, I can't let you go, Sienna. We've been through this." Sienna. That name jolted something in my memory. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands, opened Facebook, searched Sienna and missing, and Salem, Oregon. The first result made my knees buckle. Sienna Watkins, 16 years old, missing from Salem 3 weeks ago. Last seen walking home from soccer practice. Police searching. Parents desperate. Reward offered. The girl in the photograph had auburn hair and green eyes, and a smile full of braces. She wore a purple soccer jersey. She looked like someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's entire world, and she was in my son's basement. I looked up from my phone screen, my entire body trembling, looked at that metal door, at the prison my son had built in his home, at the truth I'd been too blind to see. My son wasn't a hero. He was a monster, and I had approximately 30 seconds to decide what to do about it before someone discovered me standing at the bottom of these stairs with evidence that could destroy a family. My family. The metal door started to swing open wider. I didn't think so. I ran. I made it back upstairs before the door fully opened. Stood in the hallway with my back against the wall, my lungs burning, my mind fracturing into 1,000 pieces. My son had a teenage girl locked in the basement. The words didn't make sense, couldn't make sense. This was Garrett, my firstborn, the boy who cried when we ran over a squirrel when he was 8, who became a pediatric nurse because he wanted to help children, who married Eleanor in a beautiful ceremony at Cannon Beach and promised to build a life full of love and service. That Garrett couldn't be the same person keeping a kidnapped girl in a basement prison. But I'd heard her voice, seen her face on my phone screen, connected dots I'd been deliberately ignoring for 3 months. The overseas medical mission trips Garrett took every few weeks, leaving for 3 or 4 days, the locked basement, the scratches on the doorframe, The new locks on the twins' bedroom doors, Eleanor's constant vigilance, the way they both startled at unexpected sounds, and the other thing, the thing that made bile rise in my throat. 3 months ago, before I moved in to help with the twins, a different girl had gone missing in the Salem area. Lacey Henderson, 19, disappeared from a hospital parking lot. I remembered, because Garrett had mentioned it at the time, how scary it was, how everyone at Sacred Heart was being extra careful. I pulled up my phone with shaking hands, searched for Lacey Henderson, found the news article, clicked through to the investigation update from 6 weeks ago. Still missing, no leads, parents offering a $50,000 reward. The article included a photo. Lacey had blonde hair and blue eyes in a nursing student uniform. She'd been doing her clinical rotation at Sacred Heart Hospital, where my son worked. I scrolled further, found the article about Sienna Watkins's disappearance 3 weeks ago, read every detail. She'd been walking home from soccer practice when a car pulled up. Witnesses saw her talking to someone through the driver's window. Then she got in, voluntarily, like she knew the person. The article quoted her mother. Sienna was street smart. She wouldn't get in a car with a stranger. She must have known whoever took her, must have trusted them. A pediatric nurse would be trustworthy. Someone in scrubs, maybe concerned about an emergency, asking for help or offering a ride. Someone like Garrett. No, 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 but yes, because I'd heard that girl in the basement, heard her beg to go home. Grandma, Lily's small voice cut through my spiral. She stood at the end of the hallway, clutching her coloring book. Are you okay? You look funny. I forced my face into something resembling a smile. I'm fine, sweetheart. Just tired. You're crying. I touched my cheeks. Wet. I hadn't realized. Footsteps on the basement stairs. Heavy. Male. Garrett was coming up. I grabbed Lily's hand and pulled her toward the living room. Let's see what you and Elijah colored. Show Grandma your pictures. We made it to the couch before Garrett appeared in the archway. He looked normal, completely normal. Flannel shirt, jeans, slightly damp hair like he'd splashed water on his face. Smiling. Hey, Mom. Thanks for taking the kids this morning. He walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, pulled out a beer even though it was barely noon. Took a long drink. Eleanor's resting. Migraine. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, she gets them sometimes. Stress. He sat down in the armchair across from us, studying me with those brown eyes I used to find so warm. Now they looked calculating, measuring. You seem tense. Is everything okay? Did he know? Had he seen me on the basement stairs? Heard me moving up there? Just worried about Eleanor, I said. She'll be fine. She always is. Garrett took another pull from his beer. Actually, Mom, I need to talk to you about Friday. Change of plans. My stomach dropped. Oh? Yeah, something came up at work. We need to push your departure to tomorrow instead. Thursday. I hope that's okay. Tomorrow. They were kicking me out tomorrow. That's quite sudden, I managed. I know, and I'm sorry. But there's a mandatory training session Friday I can't miss. It would be better if we got you settled back in Portland before then. Less chaotic. His voice was apologetic. His eyes were steel. He was lying. There was no training session. They wanted me out because I'd been awake last night, because I'd seen the locked door, because I was getting too close to their secret. Of course, I heard myself say. Tomorrow is fine. Great. Garrett stood, stretched. I'm going to check on Eleanor. Keep an eye on the Munchkins. He walked upstairs. I heard the master bedroom door close. I sat on that couch with my grandchildren coloring beside me, my mind screaming. I had less than 24 hours. Tomorrow they'd put me in my car and send me back to Portland, and Sienna Watkins would stay locked in that basement prison. And maybe Lacey Henderson too, and maybe others I didn't know about. And my grandchildren would grow up in a house of horrors, breathing the same air as their father's victims, learning that evil could wear a kind face and cook blueberry pancakes. I couldn't let that happen. But what could I do? Call the police? Tell them my son had kidnapped someone? Based on what? A voice I heard, a locked door, a feeling. They'd think I was a bitter old woman, angry about being kicked out. And even if they investigated, Garrett would have time to move Sienna, hide evidence, make me look crazy. I needed proof, real, undeniable proof. "Lily," I said quietly, "where's Daddy's phone?" "On the kitchen counter." "Why?" "I need to borrow it real quick. Don't tell anyone, okay? It's a secret." Lily's eyes went wide with the thrill of conspiracy. "I won't tell." I walked to the kitchen, my heart hammering. Sure enough, Garrett's phone sat face down on the granite counter. I picked it up. Locked. Of course. I tried his birthday. Wrong. Tried the twins' birthday. Wrong. Tried Eleanor's birthday. The screen unlocked. My hands shook as I opened his photos, scrolled through images of the twins. Eleanor. Hospital selfies with co-workers. Normal. Everything is so devastatingly normal. Then I found the hidden album. The one you had to know existed to find. The one protected by a second password. I tried combinations frantically. Thomas's birthday. My dead son. Garrett's brother. Click. It opened. And I saw hell. Photos. Dozens of them. Girls. Young women. All in the same room. That basement prison. All wearing the same terrified expression. Some I recognized from news articles I'd half remembered. Missing girls from across Oregon and Washington. Years of them. Lacey Henderson, the nursing student. Gaunt now, her blonde hair lank and filthy. Sienna Watkins, the soccer player, her green eyes hollow with despair. Girls whose names I didn't know, but whose faces would haunt me forever. And in several photos, standing beside them, his hand on their shoulders, like a proud photographer, was my son, smiling, always smiling. The dates on the photos went back 4 years. 4 years of kidnapping and imprisonment, and God knows what else. 4 years of evil hiding behind a pediatric nurse's scrubs and a devoted husband's smile. I took screenshots of everything, sent them to my email, deleted the sent messages from his phone, put it back exactly where I found it. Then I walked back to the living room, sat down beside my grandchildren, and made the hardest decision of my life. I had to get Lily and Elijah out of this house. Tonight, before Garrett and Eleanor realized what I knew. Because those locks on the children's bedroom doors weren't just to keep them from sleepwalking. They were insurance, leverage, a guarantee that if those girls in the basement ever tried to escape or scream for help, there were 2 innocent children who could be silenced permanently. My grandchildren were living in the same house as their father's prisoners, breathing the same air, walking over the ceiling of their captivity, and eventually, tomorrow, next week, next year, they would become witnesses, old enough to understand, old enough to tell, old enough to be a liability. No, I wouldn't let that happen. "Lily, Elijah," I said, keeping my voice steady. "How would you like to go on an adventure with Grandma?" Lily looked up from her coloring book. "What kind of adventure?" "A secret one. Tonight. Just us 3. Elijah frowned. "What about Mama and Daddy?" "They're tired, remember? This will be our special trip. But you can't tell anyone. Can you keep a secret?" Both twins nodded solemnly. They were good at secrets. Children raised in houses with locked basements and hidden screams Learned early how to keep quiet. Good. Pack your favorite toys and your blankets. We're going to have a sleepover. Where? Lily asked. I looked at her bright, innocent face, at Elijah's serious dark eyes, at these two beautiful children who'd brought me back to life after losing Thomas. Somewhere safe, I promised. Upstairs, I heard movement. Garrett's footsteps crossing the master bedroom. A door opening. The shower turning on. I had maybe 10 minutes while he was distracted. 10 minutes to pack our things. 10 minutes to plan an escape. 10 minutes to become either the crazy grandmother who destroyed her family over paranoid delusions, or the woman who saved 2 children from growing up in a house of monsters. I chose the latter, because I'd already failed one son. Let Thomas drive home, drunk from a party, because I didn't want to seem overbearing. Let him die on a rainy road, because I was too afraid of conflict to take his keys. I wouldn't fail these children, too. The afternoon crawled by like glass over skin. I packed subtly. 3 changes of clothes for each twin, stuffed into a shopping bag labeled donations. Their medications, tucked into my purse. Important documents, birth certificates, medical records. I'd been keeping organized in my room, now slipped into my overnight bag beneath pajamas and toiletries. Garrett came downstairs around 2, looking refreshed from his shower. Need anything from the store, Mom? I'm making a run. We're fine, I said, not looking up from the puzzle I was doing with Lily. He left at 2:15. I waited 5 minutes, then walked to the window, watched his truck disappear down the long driveway toward the main road. Only then did I breathe. Eleanor, I called up the stairs. I'm taking the twins to the library. Give you some quiet time. A long pause, then her voice, muffled. Okay, don't be late for dinner. We won't. We wouldn't be coming back for dinner at all. I loaded the twins into my Honda, my hands steady now that I'd made the decision. No more doubts, no more hoping I was wrong. Those photos on Garrett's phone had burned away any remaining delusions. But I didn't go to the library. I drove to a FedEx store 30 minutes away, in a strip mall where no one knew me. Sent a package to my lawyer in Portland, a flash drive containing all the screenshots from Garrett's phone, along with a handwritten letter explaining everything I'd seen and heard. Sealed it, paid extra for next-day delivery, and signature required. Insurance. If something happened to me, the truth would still come out. Next, I drove to a bank I'd never used before, withdrew $5,000 in cash from my savings account. The teller looked concerned. Older woman, large withdrawal, not from her usual branch, but processed it anyway. Then, to a burner phone store, bought a cheap prepaid phone with cash. No contract, no trail. By the time we returned to the house at 4:30, I was ready. Garrett's truck sat in the driveway. My stomach clenched. I'd hoped for more time. Remember, I whispered to the twins as we walked to the door. Don't mention our errands. If Daddy asks, we just went to the library. But we didn't go to the library, Elijah pointed out, with devastating 5-year-old logic. I know, baby, but sometimes grown-ups need to tell special stories to keep everyone safe. Can you do that for Grandma? He nodded uncertainly. Inside, the house smelled like roasting chicken. Garrett stood at the stove, Eleanor at the counter chopping vegetables. They looked like a commercial for happy families, not like jailers preparing dinner while their prisoners starved in the basement. How was the library? Garrett asked, without turning around. Good. The twins picked out some books. That's nice. He glanced over his shoulder at me. Eleanor and I were talking. We thought it might be nice to take some family photos tonight. Before you leave tomorrow. The twins are growing so fast. family photos, creating a record of normalcy, evidence that everything was fine, in case anyone ever asked questions. "That sounds lovely," I said. We ate dinner at 6. Chicken and roasted vegetables and fresh bread. Garrett told funny stories from the hospital. Eleanor praised the twins' table manners. I moved food around my plate and watched the clock. 7 p.m. Bedtime routine started. 7:30 p.m. Twins in pajamas, teeth brushed. 7:45 p.m. Story time. Garrett read to them. Some book about dragons and princesses. His voice was warm and animated. The twins loved it. 8 p.m. Lights out. Door closed. I listened to those locks slide into place from the outside. Heard Garrett test the knobs. Heard him walk away satisfied that his children were secured for the night. Like prisoners. Like the girls in his basement. I waited in my room, fully dressed under my bathrobe. Watched the illuminated numbers on my phone change with agonizing slowness. 8:15, 8:30, 8:45. At 9 I heard Garrett and Eleanor's bedroom door close, heard the murmur of their television through the walls. Some crime show, ironically. How they could watch fictional horrors while real ones breathed in their basement was beyond my comprehension. 9:30. Their light went out. I gave them an hour. Sat in the darkness of my guest room, my packed bag by the door, my heart hammering so hard I thought they might hear it through the walls. At 10:30, I stood, picked up my bag, opened my door with excruciating slowness. The hallway was dark except for the nightlight near the bathroom. I could see both children's doors from here, both locked from the outside, both trapping the people I loved most in this world. I pulled the hairpin from my gray hair, the same hairpin my mother had given me 50 years ago, never imagining her daughter would use it to pick locks in her own son's house. The mechanism was simple. Cheap residential locks designed to keep toddlers from wandering, not to secure prisoners. In 30 seconds, I had Lily's door open. She was awake, sitting up in bed, clutching her stuffed rabbit, her eyes huge in the darkness. "Grandma," a whisper. I pressed my finger to my lips, moved to her quickly. "We're going on our adventure now, very, very quietly. Can you do that?" She nodded. I dressed her in the warmest clothes I'd packed in her drawer earlier. Coat, shoes, grabbed her blanket. Then I moved to Elijah's room. The lock took longer. My hands were shaking now. 45 seconds, a minute. Finally, the mechanism clicked. Elijah was harder to wake. I had to shake him gently, cover his mouth before he could make noise. His eyes opened, confused and frightened. "It's okay, baby. It's Grandma. We're going somewhere safe. But you have to be very, very quiet. Like a mouse." He nodded against my palm. I dressed him with trembling hands. Every sound felt deafening. The rustle of fabric, the soft thud of shoes on carpet, my own breathing, ragged with fear. When both children were ready, I took their hands. Lily on my left, Elijah on my right, my bag over my shoulder. "We're going to walk downstairs very slowly," I whispered. "If I squeeze your hand, you freeze. Don't move. Don't breathe. Understand?" 2 small nods. We moved into the hallway, toward the stairs. I avoided the floorboard outside the master bedroom that I knew creaked. I'd learned every sound of this house over 3 months. 5 steps to the staircase. 4, 3, 2. Behind us, a toilet flushed. I froze. The children froze. The master bathroom. Someone was awake. Water ran. Stopped. A door opened inside the bedroom. Footsteps moving around. I made a decision. Pulled the children toward the stairs. Started descending as quickly as I dared. The old farmhouse stairs were wood. Each one a potential betrayal. Step. Pause. Listen. Step. Pause. Listen. We were halfway down when the master bedroom door opened above us. I pulled the children against the wall, into the shadows, held my breath. Eleanor's silhouette appeared at the top of the stairs. She stood there, looking down into the darkness. For a moment, thought we were caught. Thought she'd seen us. Thought everything was over. Then she turned and walked away, toward the children's rooms. Panic flooded me. She was going to check on them, find the empty beds, the open locks, sound the alarm. I half carried, half dragged the twins down the remaining stairs. Through the living room, to the front door. My keys were already in my hand. Behind us, from upstairs, Eleanor screamed, "Garrett, the children, they're gone!" I yanked open the front door. Cold October air hit my face. I pushed the twins ahead of me, toward my Honda parked in the driveway. "Run!" I shouted, abandoning silence. "Run to the car!" Behind me, thundering footsteps on the stairs. Garrett's voice, roaring, "Mom, what are you doing?" I got the twins to the car, threw open the back door, practically threw them inside. "Buckle up, fast as you can." My hands fumbled with my keys. Dropped them, picked them up. Finally, got the right key. The front door of the house burst open. Garrett stood there in pajama pants and a t-shirt, his face twisted with rage I'd never seen before. Behind him, Eleanor was on her phone, calling someone. I started the engine, threw the car in reverse. Garrett ran toward us, actually ran at my car like he could stop it with his body. I hit the gas, backed down the long driveway, faster than I'd ever driven in reverse. Gravel spraying, the car fishtailing. In the rearview mirror, I saw Garrett sprint to his truck. "Grandma, I'm scared," Lily whimpered from the back seat. "I know, baby. Hold your brother. We're going to be okay." I reached the main road, slammed the car into drive, pressed the accelerator to the floor. My phone rang. "Garrett." I didn't answer. It rang again and again. Then a text. "Mom, you're making a terrible mistake. Bring them back. We can talk about this." Another text. "You're going to regret this." Another. "I'm calling the police. You're kidnapping my children." That last one made my blood run cold. Because he was right, technically. I had no legal right to take these children. I was the grandmother. He and Eleanor were the legal parents. If police stopped me, they'd make me return the twins. And then what? Garrett and Eleanor would have them back, would move them, hide them. I'd never see them again. And Sienna Watkins, and Lacey Henderson, and whoever else was in that basement would disappear too. Garrett would have time to clean up, destroy evidence, make me look like a crazy old woman having a breakdown. I couldn't go to the police. Not yet. Not until I had a plan. "Grandma, there's lights behind us," Elijah said. I looked in the rearview mirror. Headlights. Coming fast. Garrett's truck. The October night swallowed my Honda as I pushed it faster than I'd driven in 20 years. Behind me, Garrett's truck grew larger in the mirror. He knew these roads better than I did. Lived here. Probably drove them every day to and from the hospital. I had one advantage. I was desperate. And desperate, people do impossible things. "Lily, Elijah, get down on the floor, right now. Cover yourselves with the blanket." My voice was steady, calmer than I felt. "Why, Grandma?" "Just do it. Trust me." They scrambled down, disappearing below the window line. Good. If something happened, if Garrett forced me off the road, if we crashed, they'd be lower, safer. My phone rang again. This time, Eleanor's number. I answered. Put it on speaker. "Vivian." Her voice was ice. "You need to bring the children back immediately. You're putting them in danger. You're driving erratically. You're going to get them killed. The only danger they're in is from you and my son. You don't understand what you saw. Whatever you think, I saw those photos, Eleanor, on Garrett's phone. I know about Sienna, about Lacey, about all of them. Silence. Then, you went through his phone. I also sent copies to my lawyer. They'll go to the police if anything happens to me or the children. A lie. But she didn't know that. I'd sent the photos to my email, yes, but no lawyer. Not yet. Vivian, listen to me very carefully. Eleanor's voice changed, became reasonable, persuasive, the voice of someone used to manipulating. Those girls aren't being hurt. Garrett is helping them. They're runaways, drug addicts. He's rehabilitating them, giving them a safe place until they're ready to face their families again. The audacity of the lie almost made me laugh. Rehabilitation? He's a kidnapper, a monster. No, he's trying to save them, like he saves children every day at the hospital. That's who he is, Vivian. Your son, the good man who locks those girls in a basement prison, who locks his own children in their bedrooms at night. That good man. Another pause. When Eleanor spoke again, the reasonable tone was gone. Pure venom remained. You'll never see those children again. I promise you. We'll say you're having a mental breakdown. Dementia. The grief over Thomas finally caught up to you. No court will give you custody. They'll go into the system before they go to you. She hung up. In the mirror, Garrett's truck suddenly accelerated. He was maybe 50 yards behind now. Closing, fast. I took a sharp right onto a smaller road. The Honda's tires squealed. The twins yelped from the floor. It's okay. We're okay. But I didn't know these roads. Didn't know where I was going. I was just driving, running. No plan beyond getting away. The truck followed. Its high beams flooded my car with blinding light. Then it happened. Garrett pulled alongside me. We were on a 2-lane road, a cliff dropping away on one side. He matched my speed, looked across at me through his driver's window. Even in the darkness, I could see his face, the son I'd raised, the boy I'd nursed through fevers and heartbreaks and his brother's death. Gone. That boy was gone. This man looking at me with cold calculation was a stranger. He jerked his wheel toward me. I swerved right, toward the cliff edge, overcorrected left. The Honda fishtailed wildly. "Grandma!" Both twins screamed. I got control. Barely. My heart was trying to escape my chest. Garrett pulled ahead, slowed down, forced me to slow. I saw what he was doing, trying to stop me, box me in. Probably had Eleanor racing to get ahead, create a roadblock. I couldn't go forward, couldn't go back, couldn't outrun him. But I knew one thing he didn't know. 20 years ago, when my husband left me with 3 boys and no money, I'd taken a second job at a truck stop diner, worked graveyard shifts, learned to navigate dark back roads to get home safely, learned every shortcut around Salem and Portland. Some things you don't forget. There, a turnoff ahead, unmarked, easy to miss, led to an old logging road that connected to the highway. Haven't thought about it in years, but suddenly the memory was crystal clear. I waited until the last possible second, then yanked the wheel right. The Honda shot onto the dirt road. Garrett's truck sailed past. He'd been going too fast to react. I killed my headlights, drove by moonlight alone. The road was rough, full of potholes. The car bounced and shuddered. From the floor, the twins whimpered, but didn't scream. Almost there, babies. Almost safe. In the mirror, Garrett's truck, backing up, finding the turnoff, following. But I had a head start now, and I knew where this road led. 2 miles of rough terrain. Then it intersected the highway. From there, I could go anywhere. Portland, Seattle, anywhere but here. The Honda rattled over a particularly nasty pothole. Something under the car scraped against rock, a terrible grinding sound. "Come on," I begged. "Just a little further." The engine light came on, blinking red. Not good. But there, ahead, I could see the highway, cars passing, civilization, witnesses. I pushed the dying Honda those last 100 yards, pulled onto the highway shoulder. The engine sputtered, died. Behind me, no truck. Garrett must have lost us in the darkness. Or maybe he'd given up when he saw we reached the highway. I sat there, my hand shaking uncontrollably on the wheel. Adrenaline crash hitting all at once. "Grandma," Lily's small voice. "Can we get up now?" "Yes, baby, you can get up." They climbed back onto the seats. Lily was crying. Elijah looked shell-shocked. Both were pale in the dome light. I got in the back with them, pulled them both into my arms. Let them cry. Let myself cry. "It's okay," I whispered, over and over. "You're safe. Grandma's got you. You're safe." But we weren't safe. Not really. Garrett knew I had evidence. Would know I'd go to the police eventually. He'd be cleaning up right now, moving those girls, destroying proof, creating alibis. And I was stranded on a highway shoulder in a dead car with 2 traumatized children and no plan. I pulled out my phone. 11:47 p.m. Too late to call most people, but not too late to call Maya, my daughter, the nurse, the single mother who worked 2 jobs and survived on 3 hours of sleep, the strongest person I knew. She answered on the first ring. "Mom, what's wrong?" "Maya, I need help. I need you to listen without asking questions yet." "Where are you?" "Highway 22, about 40 miles south of Salem. My car died. I have Lily and Elijah with me." "Garrett's twins." "Mom, what?" "Your brother is not who we thought he was. I found something terrible in his house. I had to get the children out, but I can't go to the police yet. He'll make me look crazy. I need somewhere safe, just for tonight, until I figure out what to do." Silence. I could hear Maya's breathing, processing, deciding whether to believe her mother or think she'd lost her mind. "How bad is it?" she finally asked. "Worse than you can imagine." Another pause. Then, "I'm getting in my car now. Stay exactly where you are. I'll be there in 30 minutes. If anyone approaches you, anyone at all, drive away, even if the car's dead. Coast down the highway. Make noise. Get attention." "Okay. Mom, whatever you found, I believe you. You're not the kind of person who panics. If you ran, there was a reason." I closed my eyes. "Thank you." 30 minutes. Lock your doors." She hung up. I locked the doors, pulled the twins closer, and we waited in that dead car on the side of a dark highway, watching for either salvation or danger to arrive first. Maya's headlights cut through the darkness at 12:23 a.m. She pulled up behind my Honda, got out, ran to my window. I'd never seen her look so fierce, protective, like a mother wolf ready to destroy threats to her pack. "Are you hurt?" she asked. "Are the kids hurt?" "We're okay, shaken but okay." "My car. Now. Leave yours. We'll deal with it later." I bundled the twins out of the Honda and into Maya's Subaru. She already had blankets in the back seat, a first aid kit, bottles of water. She'd prepared for an emergency in the 20 minutes it took her to drive here. "Where are we going?" I asked as she pulled onto the highway. "Somewhere Garrett doesn't know about. My friend Keisha's cabin. She's out of town. Gave me the key last month in case I ever needed a place to clear my head." Maya glanced at me. "Now tell me everything." So I did. The locked basement door, the crying I heard, the photos on Garrett's phone, the missing girls, the prison my son had built, the escape, the chase. Maya drove in silence, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. When I finished, She was quiet for a long time. "I should have seen it," she finally said. "The way Eleanor controlled everything. The way they never let anyone visit unexpectedly. The weird vibe in that house. I should have known. None of us knew. You knew enough to get those kids out." We drove for another hour, deep into the Cascade Mountains. The cabin was exactly what we needed. Isolated, unmarked, invisible. A one-room structure with a wood stove and no Wi-Fi. Off the grid. Maya got the twins inside, made them hot chocolate while I got a fire going. By 2 a.m., both children were asleep on the cabin's pull-out couch, exhausted beyond fear. Maya and I sat at the small kitchen table. The silence between us was heavy, with things we didn't want to say. "Dad would have been devastated," Maya finally whispered. "His firstborn son, his pride. Our father had died 4 years ago, before Garrett's twins were born, before everything went dark. Maybe he knew," I said. "Maybe that's why his last words to me were, 'Watch over them all.' Not just Garrett. Them all. Like he knew someone would need protecting." Maya pulled out her laptop. "I saved the photos to a flash drive before we left my apartment. We need to decide what to do with them. If we go to the police now, Garrett will have already moved those girls. He'll say I'm having a breakdown, that I manipulated the photos, that I kidnapped his children because I'm unstable. He's a respected pediatric nurse. You're a 63-year-old widow with a history of depression after losing Thomas." We looked at each other, both understanding the terrible mathematics. His word against mine, his reputation against my grief. Who would they believe? "We need more," Maya said. "We need someone else to confirm what's in that basement, someone whose testimony can't be dismissed." "The girls," I said. "Sienna, Lacey, the others. If they testify, first we have to find them and save them before Garrett moves them or—" Maya couldn't finish the sentence. Neither could I. What would Garrett do when he realized I had evidence? When he knew those girls could identify him? Would he let them live? I stood up, paced the small cabin. "We need to go back, tonight, while he's distracted looking for us. Search the house. Find proof that can't be denied." "That's insane. You'd be walking right back into—" "I know that house. Every creaking floorboard. Every hiding place. And I know something else." I looked at my daughter. The key to that metal door. Garrett keeps his important keys on a ring in the garage. The one place Eleanor never goes because she hates the smell of motor oil. Maya stared at me. "You want to break back into your son's house, find a key to a torture chamber, and free the girls he's been holding prisoner?" "Yes." "While he's actively looking for you?" "Yes." "Mom, you could die. Those girls will die if I don't." Maya ran her hands through her dark hair, looked at her sleeping daughter. Sarah, 8 years old, peaceful in the other room, looked at the twins on the couch, looked at me. "I'm coming with you," she said. "No, you need to stay with the children. If something happens to me, nothing's happening to you. We do this together or not at all." Her voice left no room for argument. "But we need a plan, a real one, not just walk in and hope for the best." We spent the next 2 hours planning. Maya called in sick to her morning nursing shift, called a friend who could watch Sarah and the twins when we returned. We mapped out the house on paper, identified points of entry, planned escape routes. At 4 a.m., we loaded back into Maya's car. "If anything goes wrong," I said, "if Garrett catches us, you run. You leave me. You save yourself. Promise me." Maya started the engine. "I'm not promising that." "Maya, you raised me to protect people who can't protect themselves. Those girls in that basement can't protect themselves. I'm not running." We drove through the pre-dawn darkness, back toward the house where my son kept his secrets and his prisoners, back toward the place where I'd lived for 3 months, blind to the horror beneath my feet. The house was dark when we arrived at 5:30 a.m. Both vehicles in the driveway, Garrett's truck and Eleanor's SUV. Either they were both there, or they'd gone out together in a different car. We parked down the road, walked the last quarter mile, slipped through the tree line that bordered the property. The garage had a side door. I knew it well, used it hundreds of times taking out recycling. It was never locked. I turned the knob slowly. It opened. Inside, the garage smelled exactly as I remembered. Motor oil and sawdust in the faint chemical tang of whatever cleaning supplies they used. And there, on a hook by the workbench, Garrett's keyring, just where it always was. I grabbed it. 8 keys. I had no idea which one opened that metal door. We'd have to try them all. Maya and I moved through the garage to the door leading into the house. This one would be trickier. It might be locked, might have an alarm. I tried the knob. It turned. We were in. The kitchen was silent, dark. The clock on the microwave read 5:47 a.m. In 13 minutes, Garrett's alarm would go off. He was religious about his schedule. Up at 6, shower by 6:15, out the door by 7. We had 13 minutes to get to that basement, find that door, free those girls, and get out, unless he'd already moved them, unless the basement was empty, unless this entire mission was futile. Only one way to find out. Maya and I crept through the kitchen, into the hallway, to the basement door. It was unlocked. We descended into darkness, using our phone flashlights on the dimmest setting. Every step felt like falling. At the bottom, we found the metal door. I tried the first key. Wrong. Second key. Wrong. Third key. It turned. The door opened, and I smelled it. Unwashed bodies, fear, desperation, the specific scent of suffering. I pushed the door fully open. There were 4 of them. Sienna Watkins, the soccer player, her auburn hair matted and filthy. Lacey Henderson, the nursing student, skeletal thin, and 2 others I didn't recognize from missing persons reports. Younger, maybe 15 or 16. All of them chained to the wall. All of them staring at us with eyes that had forgotten hope. "We're here to help," I whispered. "We're getting you out." Sienna shook her head. "Hopeless. You can't. He'll hear. He'll stop you. He always stops us." "Not this time." Maya was already examining the chains. "Mom, we need bolt cutters. These locks are too strong." "Garage. On the wall rack. That's 3 minutes round trip. Can you?" Above us, footsteps. We all froze. Garrett was awake. The footsteps moved across the ceiling, toward the kitchen, toward the coffee maker Garrett used every morning. We had seconds to decide. Run now and leave the girls, or stay and finish what we started. I looked at those 4 young women, chained like animals, hoping for rescue they'd learned not to believe in. "Maya," I whispered, "go get the bolt cutters. I'll stay here." "Mom, go. If he comes down, I'll handle it." Maya hesitated 1 second, then ran. I turned to the girls. "When we get you out, you run. Don't look back. Don't wait for us. Get to the road. Flag down cars. Call 911. Tell them everything." Sienna spoke, her voice rusty from disuse. "The chains need keys too. He has them upstairs, in his nightstand." Of course. Nothing was simple. Above us, the coffee maker gurgled to life. Garrett would drink his coffee, then shower. Then the footsteps changed, moving away from the kitchen, toward the stairs, toward the basement. "He's coming," one of the younger girls whimpered. I looked around frantically. Nowhere to hide. The basement was open except for the prison room. If Garrett came down those stairs, he'd see me immediately, unless I didn't give him the chance to look. I moved to the bottom of the stairs, positioned myself just out of sight from above. If he descended, I'd be behind him. And then what? I'm 63 years old. He's a strong 32-year-old man. I couldn't overpower him, but I could surprise him. I picked up a piece of lumber leaning against the wall, 2x4, maybe 4 feet long, heavy enough to hurt. The basement door opened above. Girls? Garrett's voice, casual, like he was calling pets. Breakfast time, everyone behaving. He started down the stairs. I gripped the lumber. My heart hammered so hard, I thought it might burst. Garrett reached the bottom step, turned toward the prison room, saw the open door, froze. I swung the lumber with every ounce of strength I possessed. It connected with the back of his head with a sickening thud. Garrett dropped like a stone, collapsed on the concrete floor and didn't move. For a moment, I stood there, staring at my son's unconscious body. My firstborn, the boy I'd loved more than my own life, the monster I'd just struck down. Then Maya appeared at the top of the stairs, bolt cutters in hand. "Mom, I heard. Oh my God. He's alive, just unconscious. Help me with the girls." We worked frantically. The chains were thick, but Maya's bolt cutters were industrial strength. One by one, we cut through the links. Sienna first, then Lacey, then the 2 younger girls, who I learned later were named Madison and Amber. "Go," I urged them. "Out the garage door. Run toward the main road. Flag down help." They stumbled toward the stairs, weak from captivity. Lacey fell. Maya helped her. Up. Behind me, Garrett groaned. "Mom!" Maya screamed. I turned. Garrett was getting up. Blood ran down the back of his head, but his eyes were clear, furious, fixed on me. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life," he said. Above us, Eleanor's voice. "Garrett, what's happening down there?" He smiled. Actually, smiled. "My mother is having a psychotic break. She's attacking me. Call 911. "No," I shouted up the stairs. "Eleanor, don't. We have the girls. We have evidence. It's over." Eleanor appeared at the top of the stairs, looked down at the scene, at the freed prisoners stumbling up toward her, at her husband, bleeding. I expected her to act shocked, horrified, to pretend she didn't know. Instead, she pulled out a gun. "Everyone back in the basement. Now." The girls froze. Maya froze. I froze. Eleanor descended the stairs slowly, the gun steady in her hands. She looked calm, practiced, like she'd done this before. "You stupid old woman," she said to me. "Did you really think you could just waltz in here and play hero? That we hadn't planned for this? Eleanor, please, shut up." She gestured with the gun. "Everyone back in that room, now, or I start shooting, and I'll start with your daughter." The gun pointed at Maya's head. We moved back into the prison room, all 6 of us. Eleanor and Garrett herded us like cattle. "Tie them up," Eleanor ordered Garrett. "Use the rope from the workshop. Make it tight." Garrett grabbed rope from a corner shelf. His head was still bleeding, but he moved with purpose. He tied Maya first, then the other girls, then me, my hands behind my back, the rope cutting into my wrists. "What now?" Garrett asked Eleanor. His voice was different, smaller, like she was in charge, had always been in charge. "Now we clean up this mess, before anyone else comes looking." Eleanor studied us with cold calculation. "The old woman and her daughter tried to kidnap the children. They broke into our house, attacked you. You defended yourself. Tragic accident. They didn't survive. What about the others?" Garrett gestured to the imprisoned girls. "We move them. Tonight. To the property in Idaho. Start fresh." Eleanor looked at each of us in turn. "But these 2, they know too much. They have to disappear." Maya made a sound. Not quite a cry, more like a realization of what was about to happen. Eleanor raised the gun, pointed it at my head. Any last words, Vivienne? I looked at my daughter, at those 4 girls, at my son standing there complicit in murder. Yes, I said. Your basement has windows. Eleanor's face flickered with confusion. What? Small windows, up near the ceiling, casement windows that open from the inside. I smiled. And about 3 minutes ago, 4 girls ran out of this basement. They're not standing here with us. So where do you think they went? Eleanor's eyes widened. She spun toward the basement. Sure enough, 2 of the small windows stood open. Garrett, they're gone. They're weak, Garrett said. We'll catch them. They're running toward a main road right now, Maya shouted, finding her voice. Flagging down cars, calling police. It's over. Eleanor turned back to us, her gun shaking now. Not with fear, with rage. Then you die first. She squeezed the trigger. The gunshot was deafening in the concrete basement. But I didn't feel pain, didn't feel anything, because between one heartbeat and the next, Garrett had moved, pushed Eleanor's arm up. The bullet buried itself in the ceiling. What are you doing? Eleanor screamed at him. I can't. Garrett's voice broke. I can't kill my mother. I can't. He looked at me. For one moment, I saw my son again. The real one, buried under years of wrong choices and darkness. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Garrett. Eleanor's voice turned poisonous. If you don't do this, we're done. Everything we built is done. Everything we built was sick. He took the gun from her hands. It's over, Eleanor. It's been over for a long time. I just didn't want to see it. Eleanor stared at him. Then she ran, up the stairs. We heard the front door slam. Garrett stood there, gun in hand, looking lost. Above us, sirens wailed, getting closer. They're coming, he said quietly. The police. The girls must have found help. It's over, son, I said gently. It's time to do the right thing. He looked at me, tears streaming down his face. The right thing would have been to never start. The right thing would have been to get help years ago, before I became this. You can still help those girls. Testify against Eleanor. Tell the truth. It won't fix everything, but it's a start. The sirens grew louder. Multiple vehicles, screeching to a stop outside. Police! Come out with your hands up! Garrett set the gun on the floor. Cut the ropes, binding us with a utility knife. Go, he said. Get upstairs. Tell them everything. I'll wait here. Maya grabbed my arm, pulled me toward the stairs. We stumbled up together. The front door burst open. Police flooded in, guns drawn, shouting commands. On the ground, hands where we can see them. We dropped, complied, let them secure us. The girls, I shouted. Did you find the girls? 4 young women are safe in our vehicles, one officer responded. Are there others? In the basement. My son is down there. He's unarmed. He's surrendering. More officers descended to the basement. I heard Garrett's voice. Calm. Compliant. Heard handcuffs clicking. They brought him up. Our eyes met as they led him past. I love you, Mom, he said. I'm sorry I became someone who made you stop loving me. I never stopped, I whispered. That's the tragedy. They took him away. Paramedics checked Maya and me. We were dehydrated, in shock, but physically unharmed. They wanted to take us to the hospital. I refused. My grandchildren, Lily and Elijah. They're at a cabin with my granddaughter Sarah. They need me. Ma'am, you need medical attention.